Alright, so we are on our way home from a camping trip, and we came across the Mississippi River into Arkansas. And as you may be aware, right now the Interstate 40 bridge is closed due to some damage, a fracture to it. So we are headed back into Memphis across the I55 bridge, since the I-40 bridge is closed. And I thought it might be a good idea to show everybody what not only traffic is like, but what it's like crossing that bridge in a truck pulling an RV. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera around. We are right now at the interchange of I-55 and I-40. So you'll see that I-40 is closed and they're directing everybody onto I-55. So here you can see this is actually right where we just now hit traffic. Now I will say that the traffic is going to vary greatly. When we left Friday evening to go over to the campground in Arkansas, traffic wasn't bad going west across I-55, but there was backed up traffic for at least 10 miles on the other side of the river, maybe even 15. We didn't get an exact calculation of it. I know it was all the way to mile marker around 274, 273, somewhere around there on the other side of the Mississippi into Arkansas, where traffic finally started breaking up a little bit. But I mean, it was stop and go all the way from, like I said, mile marker 273, 274, all the way into Memphis on the I-55 bridge. Now, obviously, I'm going to edit this video and kind of cut it up to where, show the important pieces here. But one of the things that I really am going to try to point out, and hopefully you'll stick around and watch, is when you get into Memphis, and this will go for truckers, for people pulling RVs, and even for just regular cars. When you come into Memphis on I-55, if you go straight, you actually go straight onto E.H. Crump Boulevard. You do not want to do that. You want to take the exit on your right and get off onto I-55 South, which is also the 240 South loop. And that will allow you to loop around the downtown, midtown portion of Memphis and back around out to 40 on the other side of Memphis proper. So that's the best route to take. So stick around and you'll see that here in just a second. And again, you'll also see what it's like pulling across this somewhat narrow bridge that was built in 1949. So, all right, so you can see this sign here that says South 55, Jackson, Mississippi, right lane. That's what you want to be in. You want to be in the right lane there. We just passed exit 1 on the Arkansas side. So we are coming up on I-55 to the bridge. All right, so here we are on the first part of the bridge, and it is kind of tight. You can see, I don't know if you can see up ahead of me, there's that big rig, but they make it across there all the time, obviously, so it's not terrible, but it is definitely not the 3 to 4 lanes that you have across the majority of the I-40 bridge. You've got these concrete barriers on your right-hand side here. I'm hugging the line pretty good on my right, and I've got decent space between the camper and the concrete barrier, so I'm not terribly worried. Now, this is an interstate bridge. It is got road debris and stuff like that over on the side, so obviously you want to pay attention to that. Make sure you're not catching anything with the tire there. But here we're coming up on the main structure of the bridge. You can see it's got good clearance, and you've got a decent amount of room. The road is not terrible. The road has been reworked within the last, what, Mindy, probably 4 or 5 years. The road was reworked within the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah, so they came over and built the Hernando Bridge, which is a walking bridge across the Mississippi from Memphis to Arkansas. And when they did that, they came through and did some work on the road here. Now you can see that there's still some areas, some patches of roadway that are not real great. All right, so that was the extent of the I-55 bridge. We are coming up now on the exit that you want to take. It is not this one right here. This is the exit to the Metal Museum in Memphis, which, by the way, is a pretty cool stop if you want to make that stop. Don't know that it's RV accessible. We'll have to check that out later on and let you know. But you can see here, I-55 South, Jackson, Mississippi. Over on the left 2 lanes, you can see Crump Boulevard. Over the road truckers, RVs, do not go down Crump Boulevard. It is city streets, stoplights, stop and go traffic. Roads aren't great, curbs are close, so I would not advise that at all. Like I said, you get on this exit here, you come off onto 55 South, which is also part of the 240 loop here in Memphis. Memphis, just like a lot of big cities, has several loops that go around the city. It has the 240 loop, and then it has the 385 loop on the further outskirts of some of the suburbs. That 240 loop, like I said, goes through Midtown if you look at the Google Maps. And we are now headed on the south loop of 240. So I'll either do a time lapse here or break up the video into sections and show as we go around the 240 loop, and then get back onto 40 over at what the locals here call the flyover. We call it the flyover because they built a bridge that's quite a ways up in the air to try to reduce traffic there, where 40 comes into 240 on the north loop. Now you can also, which I'll show you here in a little bit when we get there, take 240 on the west side and go up to the north loop. But to be perfectly honest with you, if you're going through Memphis and towards Nashville on I-40, there's not really much purpose in taking the 240 west side and going up to the 240 north loop to pick up 40, because it's just adding extra mileage. You're going further north than you really need to, and then you're curving back down to pick up I-40, when this south loop will take you around to the eastern portion of 40 and then back up into, or I'm sorry, the eastern portion of 240 and then back up into 40 where you need to be pretty easily. So I would recommend that, not taking that western section of 240. So. Another thing to note is that if you are coming west to east, headed east, this bridge right here is 13 feet 11 inches clearance. So make sure you know what your clearance is on your rig or your truck. If you are in a big rig truck, this one here is 13.9. If I remember right, heading west, so east to west across the river over into Arkansas, this same bridge on the other side, the clearance is 13.8. So again, make sure you know the clearance is on your rig and can avoid this bridge if you need to. 13.8 is pretty tall. Most of these, all of these trucks that I'm seeing right here are making it through. You can see that Class A that just passed us made it through just fine. So obviously my travel trailer is going to be just fine as well. But make sure you know the height on your rig. Get you a little sticker or sticky note, whatever, stick it to your dash before you go to make sure that you know your rig. Add a little bit of cushion to that. Our rig is just a little bit over 10 feet in clearance, so anything that's under 11 feet I know to be leery of, but I don't think you're going to run across many bridges that are under 11 feet clearance. So. So something else you want to be careful of right here. So if you're headed south, this is where you're going to split off. This is where you head 55 south towards Jackson, Mississippi. 55 south runs all the way down to I-10 in Louisiana. So if you want to head south, you're good to go that direction right here. But if you're heading 40 east, you're going to stay in the left 2 lanes. But you do want to be careful. This is also where 240 north goes in. That's that west side of 240. That exit that you just saw right there that we just passed, that's where you would get off to go 240 north. Again, I don't recommend that if you are going east on I-40. If you are headed north, not I-51, but 51, Highway 51 in Tennessee, then you can exit right there, take that 240 north to 51. 51 heads up into the Covington, Dyersburg area here in Tennessee. But what I was getting at is you want to be careful right here, because this is also where I-55 comes into the 240 loop. 240 on the west side comes into the south side of 240 there. There's a lot of traffic coming in. This is a lot of Memphis city traffic, so people are not really paying attention. You can see that red car there in front of me just cut off this big rig here. So people kind of drive like they want to. Now here's another thing to note. You see this Lamar Avenue, Birmingham, Highway 78 here. This will take you down Highway 78 if you get off on this exit, but you're still going through quite a bit of city traffic. You're also going by the southern Memphis area railway yards, and there's a lot of big truck traffic down there. So if you're pulling an RV or if you're just driving in a car, just be aware that you're going to be going through that area. Also, if you are pulling an RV or if you have a low clearance, low ground clearance trailer or a car, there are a lot of ruts in the road there from all of the big truck traffic that goes through there. The pavement's sunk in the right-hand lane, so be aware of that. Yeah, so there's that Highway 78 East exit right there that takes you into Birmingham. Now, you can also, when we come up to it here in a minute, take Highway 385, which is a lot easier. And Highway 385 will take you over to the new I-269, which goes south and will loop into I-22, I believe it is, that heads over to Birmingham as well. I'm not sure of the distance difference between doing the two of those, but I'd recommend picking up 385, taking that over to 269, and then over to 22. I'm pretty sure, without Google mapping it, that's probably a longer drive, but if you're like me, you prefer to stay out of city traffic, stuff like that, and kind of on interstates when you're traveling like this, then that would be your recommended route. Alright, so here we're coming up on Highway 385. This is the south loop of 385. Bill Morris Parkway is what it's called. Or I guess, excuse me, it says East 385, but it is the southern portion of 385. It goes around through near Germantown, Collierville area. You can see that exit right there. That's going to take you to East 385. Again, the southern portion around Collierville, and that will hook you into I-269 over by Collierville. I-269/385, you can pick that up and go back north, back up to I-40, but if you're going to 40 again, take the path I'm taking now, a lot easier. I-385 is going to add a significant amount of mileage to your travel. Or if you're going south, southeast, you can pick up that 22, I believe it's 22, I'll look that up and put it in the video down below, but goes to Birmingham.
A few minutes later.
Alright, so back to our regularly scheduled programming. There was a pretty bad accident back there. Vehicle had flipped, rolled over multiple times. Fire truck, ambulance was there, everything like that. Looked like everybody got out okay, hopefully, but hope for the best there. So we are now coming up on the 40-240 interchange. As I mentioned, locals call this the flyover. Actually, maybe more than locals call it the flyover, but as far as I'm aware, just locals call it the flyover. You're going to want to be in the right two lanes. Those are the ones that go towards Nashville, as you can see with the sign right there. Now you do want to kind of take it easy here because these lanes do have a pretty good curve on them, but these right two lanes actually turn into three lanes. Now once you get around this curve, you'll see it, I'll point it out to you, you're going to want to move over to the left a little bit because the far right lanes, once you get across this curve or around this curve, are actually exit only for the Sycamore View Street. There's the bridge right there, you can see off in the distance a little bit. That's why they call it the flyover. But you can see here, I'm coming up on this pretty wicked curve here. You can see somebody's clipped that guardrail right there, so not too bad if you're in a vehicle. I would still recommend taking it kind of easy if you're in a vehicle, but if you are towing an RV, something like that, definitely want to give that curve some respect. So I stayed in the inside lane of that 40 East Nashville exit, and I am now in the third from the right hand lane on I-40. and you can see I'm coming up here, and even this third from the right-hand lane is exit only. The far right-hand lane, it says ends in 2,500 feet. These two lanes are Sycamore View Road Bartlett exit. So I'm going to get over into the fourth from the right-hand lane, which also happens to be the fourth from the left-hand lane, so direct middle of this road. And that will be the first lane on the right that continues on 40 on to Nashville. All right, so there you saw it. That was the crossing of the Interstate 55 bridge that you have to make now that the I-40 bridge is closed indefinitely. You know, we'll hope for the best there, hope that that is not a multi-month or even a year or more type of project. That's what they're saying right now, is that they're not sure how long it'll be closed, but depending on the amount of damage, it could be multi-months to repair the damage. If it's bad enough, it actually could be a year or longer, because it could require complete bridge replacement based on the latest article that I read. So just be aware, be prepared, know the best ways to get around. Like I said, avoid Crump there, and you should be good, because like I said, Crump is a city street. You're going to be in stop and go traffic, stoplights, and just some roads that are not really great for RV travel, especially for over the road trucks, stuff like that. I would hope that eventually the city of Memphis, I know they do this for Memphis in May and various other things, would get a hold of Waze and Google Maps and stuff and have them reroute traffic around the city, not across Crump or through, or excuse me, down Crump, because I know when we were going to Arkansas, that's the route it told us to take. And even in a vehicle, that's just not going to be a great route, because like I said, there was a lot of traffic on that, and it was backed up all the way over back to the interstate. So like I said, know your route, know where you're going, know your options, know what lane to stay in, and you'll be good. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and we will see you soon with some more videos.